Welcome to Faith Talks Wood Podcast. I am Will from Flywood Acres.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.
And it's a podcast with both of us this time. It's been a while, man.
No kidding, man. Life has been crazy.
It's just been, it's been nice. We've had brother Mark come on and help out and jump on. And I'll tell you what, though, to your point, it has been busy. The last few weeks for me, this previous week and this week coming up. So we're recording it Sunday. Is today Sunday? Yeah, today's Sunday. Last week I didn't see my family for 48 hours because I was up before they got up, and I didn't come home till after they got home from bed until they were, way past bedtime. 2 days in a row. Work is busy. There's some big projects going on, and this week should be the last of it for a while at least.
Is this all part of that audit thing you said you do every couple of years or something?
That the brunt of that has been good. We just had some projects that we've kicked off, and we're trying to get them finished. So tomorrow, I'll go in, and I probably won't come home till midnight. We're installing some new equipment in our server room, and so I'll be doing that tomorrow night. Tuesday night, I don't want to do it, but I need to. One of our big vendors invited us to a baseball game, and so me, my whole department, my boss, there's like 8 or 10 of us from my company going to this baseball game. Luckily, it's the local like AA team in town. And so, but I'm doing that after work Tuesday. Wednesday, I get up for breakfast early. I have worship practice Wednesday night. Thursday, I've got board meeting down in about an hour away. So I won't be home till after everybody's in bed. Then I took Friday off. And then I'm off the whole following week. I took the week off for VBS, Vacation Bible School. So we do ours in the morning. So I'll get up, and my whole family and I'll go down and do VBS in the mornings, and then I'll have the afternoons free. So looking forward to that. But yeah, man, it's just been busy. This past week, same thing. I was, like I said, a couple days, I didn't see my family, and it was my anniversary this week. And
congrats.
Yeah.
How many years is that?
9 years.
Oh, man, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, 9 years married, 14 years together, I believe. 13, 14. But yeah, it's just busy. So yesterday, I took my wife, we dropped the kids off in-laws, and we went out for breakfast. Usually we do dinner. Our anniversary is Wednesday, but we did breakfast, and then we went and walked. So we're up on Lake Erie, and there's Presque Isle State Park. It's a huge peninsula that goes out into Lake Erie, and they're having a big like sandcastle tournament. There's like professional sandcastle builders doing stuff. And so we went and walked the beach for a couple hours and just, enjoyed some time together. But yeah, man, it's just been busy. You've been busy too. What's been going on in your world?
Well, I'll tell you what my world has been like. So before we started recording tonight, I have this Rodecaster Duo that I do all the recording on, and I had needed this work table because I've been so slammed with sign work, and I needed an extra table. And so I had taken this all apart. I say apart, just unplugged it and sat it over out the way. And so I had to set it all back up for us to record tonight, and set it up and turned it on. Nothing happened. I was like, we've had a lot of thunderstorms here in the last week, a lot of lightning and stuff. And I was like, did I have this plugged in during that storm? Why is it not working? Dude, I was like panicking, and I was like, here we're 20 minutes away from recording it, wouldn't turn on. And I was just like, I stopped and I prayed. I was like, Lord, please show me what's wrong with this, and let it start working. I hadn't plugged it in.
I'm in IT. I can't tell you in my career how many times that's happened.
No power cord plugged in. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. I was just, but that's kind of how my life has been the last few weeks. Today is the first day I've had off in 3 weeks. I have been driving a bus 6 days a week and had so much sign work. The last 2 weekends had vehicle. 2 weekends ago, had 3 box trucks that I did between the Thursday and Sunday for my neighbor's plumbing company. They're growing so fast that they bought 3 brand new trucks, and he was like, "How quickly you think it?" And hired 2 new plumbers. One of them is replacing an older truck, and I was like, "I'll get them done as fast as I can. If just get them all over here." And then this past weekend, I had a painting company I did a truck for. And then this weekend, that same painting company, I have another truck that I finished it last night about midnight, because I was like, I have got to have a day of rest. And so I have been a bum today, like just, and it's just been crazy. But financially, it's been a huge blessing, as I was telling you before. And so just go as hard as I can and save as much as I can and give it all to the college next month.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, can you fit a box truck in your shop?
Yes. Yeah.
How big is your door?
I've got a 12-foot wide by 14-foot tall.
Oh, 14.
Door.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
And I did that because in North Carolina, my shop only had a 10-foot door. And
that limited you.
Oh, it limited me big time. Like, my van will pull into a 10-foot door,
right?
But not a van like mine with a ladder rack. And you would not believe how often. And the vast majority of the vehicles I do are not big, tall box trucks and 18-wheelers and stuff like that. It's more, I would probably say, 80% of all the vehicles I do are either a Sprinter van, a Ford Transit van, or a Dodge van, like work vans or work trucks, your F-150 type thing.
Yeah.
I've never kept track of it, but that just seems to be what constantly I'm doing, because those are the majority of what businesses use for work.
Right.
And so
now, what's the biggest pain in the butt to wrap as far as those kind of things? Like, what are the hardest? Is like,
honestly,
trucks
the vans and trucks are easy.
Okay.
So I have done. Remember the little HHRs, the kind of retro looking.
Yeah.
The bumper on a HHR is probably the most challenging thing I've ever wrapped.
Really?
And the reason being because it has the way the lights are in it, it has these 2 extrusions that extrude out right in the center of the bumper. And so not only do you have your typical flat surface in the center, which is fine, and then wrapping up and over and under is no big deal. But when you add in those extrusions, and those extrusions stick out, now you've got a flat piece of material that you need to go up, down and around those extrusions, and then bring back around the ends. It's a lot of work. But doing the side of a van or a truck, man, it was difficult when I first began, but I've done literally thousands of them. So it's like you plugging in a computer. I mean,
right.
You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the bumper. You talk about the front or the back bumper?
The front bumper of a HHR.
Yep. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think what other difficult. I'd probably say over the years, that's probably the hardest I've ever done. I can't remember everything, but
yeah. Interesting.
Definitely wasn't the side of a van that was difficult. Vans and trucks are easy. So
Right.
no,
Huh.
I tell you what, one that was wrapping the fender well of a dually pickup truck that had those, one of the old Fords that had the, what was it, a Ford or Chevy, had the big fender wells that protruded way out around the dually
Yep.
wheels. Those were quite challenging as well. But
Interesting.
anyway,
Yeah. So not to change subject, but I figure I'd update you. Dude, our gardens are flourishing.
oh yeah, it's that
Um,
time of year.
well, and we tried doing last year, it didn't work. We couldn't get anything. And this year we did our research, read all the stuff. I made them raised garden beds. Dude, the tomato plants in there are stupid.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
they're 5 foot wide and
I was
probably
gonna-
4 or 5 foot tall.
The thing about tomato plants in a raised garden bed is my wife does it too, and I tell her every year. It's like she'll go and put, 6 plants in one bed. Well, when you first start out, they look like they're really spaced, but a tomato plant, you really want to space 3 foot apart.
Yeah.
Well, you figure you got an 8-foot bed. What's that mean? It means you should have 2 tomato plants in that, 3 max
Yeah.
And-
so we got
and-
4 on one side.
on one side, and then they end up. It looks like plenty of space when you start, but then, oh my gosh, my wife last year we had some different garden beds, and literally she had so many in there that walking between the beds was impossible because the tomato plants were flowing over because they get so wide. And,
That's well, the interesting thing is so we've got the raised beds, and those, for whatever reason, those tomato plants are wide, just insanely wide. But we have a normal garden where we also put 4 tomato plants, and they're normal. They're going up. We've got a cage over them. They're doing the thing. They look like normal tomato plants for whatever reason. And I think, and they're the same plants. We bought them all at the same time. I think it's because them raised beds is filled with manure.
well,
It's really, really good soil that we put in those.
and that makes a
It's,
difference. Did you put cages in the raised garden beds?
No, what I did was, because we thought we could just stake them, because my father-in-law said, just put stakes in the ground. That didn't work. These things got too big. So I screwed 2 2x4s on either side,
Ran cable.
and then I drilled holes in the top, and I ran cables across.
Yeah.
And that's kept them up because they were falling over.
Yeah.
And so that seems to have done it. But yeah, well, these things are wild. And then our beans are going crazy, and the peppers are starting to come in pretty good. And then we did some corn, sweet corn. It's about half of it took off. But we did mammoth sunflowers, dude. Those things are already 7 foot tall.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's wild. So yeah, everything is going good. And this is an interesting thing. Now, maybe not for you. My wife grew up with gardens. My mother-in-law does gardens every year. She does big garden. And my wife loves to eat just beans off the plant. Just grab, it's like green beans, just grab one off and eat it. I don't think they taste that good right off the plant. Like I like them cooked. And she's got my daughter on those. My daughter will be dual fisting green beans and eating them, fresh off the plant.
That's good, man.
Yeah. So, and then black raspberry season was okay, and blackberries, we'll be picking them in the next week. We got a bunch of blackberries, and then apples are starting to come in. We've got a big Macintosh tree that we're starting to pick from. But yeah, so it's been a good year for that stuff. But I'm just so busy. I get home and we might go on a walk, and then it's bedtime, and
Dude, I feel your pain.
But yeah, man, it's good to have you back on the mic. Like I said, it's been a while. You've been busy. I've been busy. The one time we were going to do it together, and then you had family come in town, and so we pivoted. I got Mark on, and literally, I wouldn't have been able to do any other night this week. I know you said you wouldn't have been able to either. And so it worked out that tonight. But funny enough, man, I almost thought I was going to be sick this afternoon. I don't know. I'm not sure if I ate something. It wasn't like sick to my stomach, and this might be too much information. It was like a gas bubble that just was killing me. I couldn't get rid of it, laying on my side, trying to, and finally my wife's like, take this heat pad and lay on your stomach with it on, like lay over top of this thing. And if that didn't clear it up, and I feel great now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I almost thought, man, I was just like, oh, I felt horrible, but I'm good now. All's good.
That's cool.
So, but you sent me some passages. You got something on your heart, and I see the theme and where you're going with this. So I'm eager to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah. So, and while this job experience, driving the bus is, I think God put me there for more than just solving the problem of paying my daughter's tuition and building our savings back up. I think it put me there to open my eyes to people around me, people in my community. And, if I think back to stories in the Bible, it brings me to the story of the woman at the well, where Jesus went and sat there and talked to the woman at the well and told her everything about her past and all. Of course, she ran to town and then rejoicing, telling everybody about Jesus. But the disciples, they come along and they're like, what are you sitting there talking to her for? But with driving the public transit, there are a few different type of people that ride the bus. And there's some people that are just like you and I that, for whatever reason, some of them have had situations in life where they can't no longer drive a car, but they can still go to work. There's people that, maybe they can pay their rent and feed themselves and stuff off their income, but the price of cars and car insurance, they're like, just a lot cheaper, ride the bus. And there are people that get on there and there are homeless drug addicts. And then there are people that get on there that are not drug addicts, that are, you could tell, are living on the streets. And the funny thing about it is, there's this one elderly gentleman that every time I see him, he just breaks my heart. I don't know how old he is, but he's hunchbacked over and pushes a wheelchair all around town, and looks like he hasn't taken a shower in a year, like just absolutely filthy. And occasionally he gets on our bus and rides, and we have to treat him and the homeless drug addict the same exact way that I treat the person that has a job that gets on and rides the bus. And it's, I'm not gonna lie, there's sometimes people get on the bus and they smell so bad, and I have to open the window beside so I can stomach it. And then there are people that get on the bus that I have the greatest conversations with, and it's no different than having a conversation like this with me and you. And the only difference is I happen to drive a car to work, and for whatever reason, that person chooses the buses, because the bus system is cheap. Like, it is dirt cheap because our taxes fund it. So public transportation does not make a profit, people. I just want to let you know that. It is the worst managed financial thing that just like everything else in the government. So they don't even make enough money to pay to put fuel in the buses, much less buy the buses, pay the employees, and then replace tires and maintenance and all that. But if here, and I'm sure it's everywhere like that, because public transit's funded or subsidized by our taxes, it is dirt cheap. A person can get on my bus, and I would say this is not cheap. They pay $1.50 and do what we call a one-way. So if they live in Palisade, they want to ride down to Grand Junction, and that's all they want to do that day, they can pay $1.50 and do it. And that would still be cheaper than buying gas for doing that, unless you're like in a really fuel-efficient vehicle. Or they could pay $3.75 and get an all-day pass, and that'll allow them to ride my bus from this point to that point, get off, get on another bus, ride from this point, then go all over the valley all day long for $3.75. Or they can buy a month-long pass for $45. And so you figure if you're riding, we don't run on Sundays. We only run 6 days a week, but still, that's about $2 a day, something like that. Or they could pay $150 for a 6-month pass. Same thing, unlimited ride. Or for $275, they can ride all year long. I can't pay my car insurance for that, much less vehicle maintenance. So it's really cheap transportation, and for some people, it's a humongous blessing. But as a driver, you get to experience all walks of life. And as a Christian, it will expose your judgments to you internally. What you think about people, what you think is how they got in their situation. And then it will test your heart. Are you trying to be like Jesus and give everything you have for that dirty, filthy, wretched soul, as we sometimes look at it? Because God sent Jesus down here, and Jesus sacrificed it all. Just think of what he went through for each and every one of us so that he could save us. And so I'm going to read a couple passages. Kind of talks a little bit about money in a way, but it also is not talking about money in a way. And where God kind of spoke to me was partially on finances, but more about getting out of my comfort zone, and am I willing to go and do what it takes to take the gospel to the end of the earth, to go and take it to every person, the ones that I feel comfortable talking to and the ones I don't feel comfortable talking to. And so that's where it's coming from on my heart, even though as I read the passage, some of it will obviously sound about our finances, and it certainly does. But I'm in my ESV today, reading in 2 Corinthians chapter 8. I'm going to read 1 through 15 here. It says, "We want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that has been given among the churches of Macedonia, for in a severe test of affliction, their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. For they gave according to their means, as I can testify, and beyond their means of their own accord, begging us earnestly for the favor of taking part in the relief of the saints. And this, not as we expected, but they gave themselves first to the Lord, and then by the will of God to us. Accordingly, we urge Titus that as he has started, so he should complete among you this act of grace. But as you excel in anything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in all earnestness, and in our love for you, see that you excel in this act of grace also. I say this is not as a command, but to prove by the earnestness of others that your love also is genuine. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor, so that you may by his poverty might become rich. And in this matter I give my judgment, this benefits you, who a year ago started not only to do this work, but also to desire to do it. So now finish doing it as well, so that your readiness in desiring it may be matched by your completing it out of what you have. For if the readiness is there, it is acceptable according to what a person has, not according to what he does not have. For I do not mean that others should be eased and burdened, but as a matter of fairness, your abundance at the present time should supply their need, so that their abundance may supply your need, that there may be fairness, as it is written, whoever gathered had nothing left over, and whoever gathered little had no lack. And as I read this passage, obviously here it is talking about giving, but to me, it's talking about like, are we getting uncomfortable giving? And I love that part there. It says their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. And you ask yourself, their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity. And for me, that picture of okay, I have nothing in the bank account, and you may be in the situation that you're like, well, I don't have any money in the bank to give anybody. But how do they give out of their poverty? And so you remember the story. In fact, let me just flip over in Mark. Over in Mark, in chapter 12, there's that story of the lady that gave it. It was a widow, and I'll just read it quick. This is Mark 12, 41 through 44. It says, and he sat down opposite the treasury and watched the people putting money into the offering box. Many rich people put in large sums, and a poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which make a penny. And he called his disciples to him and said to them, truly I say to you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the offering box, for they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had to live on. And, when I read that, you kind of think it's like, if you put just a penny, what are you doing? And it feels kind of like, you're not doing anything, because, none of us kind of think about a penny accomplishing anything. Certainly in this economy, it doesn't feel like it's accomplishing anything. But it's not about the dollar amount or what it is that you're giving. It's about the heart. And if we flip right on over in 2 Corinthians in chapter 9 there, verses 6 down through 15, it says, the point of this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as he just decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And we can read on down there and finish. It all talks about the sowing of the seed, and what we sow comes back to us. But the key there is each one of us must decide in his own heart, not reluctantly and not under compulsion. You should never be given based on what someone tells you to give. You shouldn't be given based on what your pastor tells you to give. If there's a need, and let's just say your church was trying to build a new facility, and the pastor was asking everybody to donate, how much should you give? Well, you should go home and pray about it and ask God, is this something you want me to donate to? And how much do you want me to donate? Because obviously, if you got a billionaire that goes to your church, the amount that they give is probably going to exceed what you give. It's not about every person giving the same amount. It's about us being obedient to God. And so, like I was saying, this really, for me, wasn't so much about money, but I got to experience something at work because I've been paying attention and to people that ride the buses regularly and trying to always greet everybody with how are we doing today when they step on the bus, and when they get off the bus, hope you have a blessed day. And whether they're filthy dirty or clean and going to a job, to greet them with a smile and speak to them. But then also the ones that ride on a regular basis. There's some that I could tell you, like on tomorrow when I drive at 5 o'clock, there's a guy that's going to get on my bus at the transfer station, and I could tell you the exact spot on North Avenue he's going to get off. And I had noticed him multiple weeks in a row, and real quiet guy, gets on, gets off. But he was sitting in the bench at the transfer station reading a book. And it just felt it on my heart to go ask him what he's reading. Just figure out a way to prompt a conversation. Because without a conversation, we can't plant a seed. And so that's what I did. And so now every time he gets on the bus, and he's greeting me with a smile too, because I took the time to go over there and ask him. And I was like, oh, what you reading? It's like, I'd like to read too, and now we talked about what book I'm reading each week. And every time he gets on the bus, I'm like, what you reading this week? And so same thing with a few other, there's a gentleman down there, and I could tell there was something different about him. His name's Reggie, and he's a Christian. Very clean, very well dressed. I don't know if for a fact if he's homeless or not, or if he is just getting out there. I've not had enough time to talk to him to find out, but he's always down there blessing people. And the other day, I saw him pray with another guy that had gotten off my bus. I saw him standing there with his hands on it praying, and so after that, I walked up. I said, thank you for praying for that guy. And he said, you're a believer, aren't you? I said, yep, I am. He said, I could tell. And I was like, I don't know how he could tell, because all I had done was greet him with a smile. And but him and I just sat there and had a brief conversation before I had to get back on the bus. But it opened my eyes to, like, man, I have got to be willing to get my hands dirty and to get out of my comfort zone. And whether that's giving money to a charitable cause, whether it's going and talking to somebody, or maybe bring some extra food with me to work. But there's so much opportunity out there. And as Christians, our pursuit is to become more like Jesus. Well, if we want to become more like Jesus, are we willing to get as uncomfortable with others as he got uncomfortable to save us? It wasn't comfortable for him to take those lashes. It wasn't comfortable for them to cram that vine on his head, to slap him, make him carry his own cross and then nail it to it and hang there. He got the most uncomfortable for us because he loved us so much. And that's how we've got to be. In Proverbs 11:24, it says, one gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds what he should give and only suffers want. And so my message today is, whether it's finances, whether it's your skills, whether it's your time, whatever it is, can we get uncomfortable and start sharing the gospel and helping ministries grow in a way that gets us uncomfortable. And so, yeah, man, Will, that's where my heart's been this week. And while I greatly appreciate the paycheck that I get from driving the bus, I'm realizing on a day-to-day basis that there's another reason that God put me there driving these buses, and it's to open my eyes to and put me in situations to where I got to get uncomfortable. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, there's a lot here. There's there's a lot of thoughts I have. Zephaniah 3:13, going Old Testament here, says, "Those who left in Israel, they shall do no injustice and speak no lies, nor shall there be found in their mouth a deceitful tongue. For they shall gaze and lie down, and none shall make them afraid." Right. The idea of you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening.
All right, my computer froze. There you are. Anywho, the idea of the reality that I can always tell when I see a believer because of how they handle themselves. Reggie knew. He knew you were a believer because of your smile, because of how you acted, because of how you greeted everybody and whatnot. And I think that speaks volumes. And I believe John 10:10 says that that he has come that we may live life and live life to the fullest. I believe that a believer should be joyous, should be full of joy, and that we give out of the abundance of our heart. And like you said in First or Second Corinthians here, that you give of what you've decided between you and the Lord. As you went back into Mark, to Mark 12 to talk about that the widow's mite, I have a genuine widow's mite. It's authentic. Cool. Yeah. I got it a while back. And when you see the size of this thing, and you can see it, I'm showing it to the camera, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's like half the size of a penny, but yet that was considered greater than those who had given what seemed like a lot. And I've always found it too, people that didn't have much usually are the most generous. That's kind of an interesting dichotomy that I've seen. But yeah, man, there's just so much there that, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of a loss for thoughts. I know that's rare for me.
Yeah, it's wild to, and there's this one guy that he's a former Marine. I believe he's homeless, or I should say, I believe he lives on the streets, and he's constantly on the bus system. Always very, very cleanly dressed, well groomed. So he doesn't look like, if you're to meet him in Walmart, you would never, if you met him in Lowe's, you'd never ever think he was homeless or living on the street. And the reason I say I think that he's living on the street is because I see him on the buses all the time. I see him dragging a suitcase, a bag, and that's kind of one of the key signs of the people. Some of them carry just a bag or a backpack, and it just looks like they're carrying a bag full of stuff. And then other ones steal shopping carts, and they look like they're pushing around a load of garbage. And it's, But ironically, 30 years ago when I was in the military, I had a second job working at Baskin Robbins in the evening. And I'd get off work from the military and I'd go work at the ice cream shop. And still to this day, it's the greatest job I've ever had in my life. I loved it because nobody goes to an ice cream shop with a frown on their face.
Right.
They might have one before they get there, but once they walk in, something ice cream makes people happy, and I loved that job. But there was this gentleman way back then that would come in, and he'd have this big backpack, like what you would go on a hike the Appalachian Trail size backpack, and you'd also see him all walking all around town with that backpack. So I knew he lived on the street, but always reading a book. And one day I talked to him, and I asked him, and he said, "Yeah, I'm retired military." I was like, "You're retired military, and why are you living on the street?" He said, "Have no bills." He said, "I live like a king." He said, "I get bored of here. I just go to another town." He said, "I go do whatever I want on what my retirement check is with not having a house payment and car payment and insurance." I was like, wow. Because he was same thing, well clean, well groomed, took care of himself. And so I think this Marine here is like that, where he has chosen the lifestyle. But the one thing I see him doing, I just kind of observe him, and he's constantly checking, talking to all the other homeless people, like, and knows them by name. And he'll be like, "Marissa, how are you doing today?" Checking up on their health and thing. And I want to talk to him, but I've not. The only reason I know he's Marine is because he had a hat on, and I asked him. I was trying to break the conversation, and I was like, "I see your hat. I see you're a former Marine." He's like, "Yes, sir." And so I'm a former Air Force, and that's all the conversation had. So I haven't had a chance to dig deep, but it's like he's got his own. I don't know if he's a Christian or not, but I'm gonna find out. That's, but
Yeah.
but he's out there, and you could tell he's not doing drugs or alcohol or anything like that, because he looks healthy as a horse, and he may have a place and just. He tucks away at. I don't know the answer, but man, it's just been an interesting few weeks since I've been driving the bus on my own, and God, just kind of talking to me about what else I can do. So some of that being financial, some of it being talking to somebody who feels like nobody wants to talk to them.
Right.
Acknowledging that they're there and they're created, and somebody cares enough to speak to them. So very, very interesting.
Yeah, there's a gentleman that walks around our town, not where I live, but where I'm from, which is like 15 minutes away. And growing up, I mean, as long as I can remember, when I was a kid, we'd see him walk around. And he actually came to our house once. He walked past, and my parents always played a game, and they still do, called cribbage.
Oh yeah,
it's a board game with pegs, and you count cards and whatever. And not very many people know how to play it. It's a pretty, niche game. Like, anyways, but this guy knew how to play it. Well, word got out that he walked around. Like, same thing, huge, like, hiking backpack on, long beard, just kind of scraggly looking guy, doesn't have a place that anybody knows of, and he's always just walking around. Well, word got out, apparently he had owned several businesses, and he was worth millions, and he just kind of Ecclesiastes the world, like it's all meaningless, but he still had money, and like he had bank accounts, but that's like the guy, like the military guy you're talking about. He just he still, every once in a while, you'll still see him. I mean, and think that was 30 years ago that I remember seeing him, and he still to this day walks around. He was old back then. But you know, some people, it's just a lifestyle. And to your point, you know, I know people that don't have vehicles that could afford vehicles, and they just don't want to drive. I'm sure you might see some of them kind of people. I met this lady who she's just like a foreman at a shop, like a tool and die shop. She's probably making, you know, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year, but for whatever reason, she doesn't drive. I don't think there's ever been an issue. I think it's just been she just doesn't like driving, and so she either rides the bus or Ubers everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, some people that just makes more sense to them. I don't know. Yeah, there's something to be said about that. But yeah, you know, even where we're at, where I work at in Erie, Pennsylvania, there's a really, really bad homeless, you know, population, a lot of situation there. And they're all always out and about and stuff. And some of them, you know, if you get talking to them, some of them are really, really, really nice people, and they're, you know, they just had a hard time in life. But you know, some of the people you see, they're kind of different, strange looking. You know, we see guys arguing with nothing all the time, and then there's some people who are just seem normal for whatever reason. They just are in a bad situation. You know, you never know. But yeah, man, it's good stuff.
You know,
It's really humbling.
it is, and the other thing is, like, you know, obviously my situation is this bus driver position and the people that I'm interacting with there. But the other thing that's been on my heart is, like, remember when we had Daniel Spencer on and the water project, and I forget what his friend's name was that came on with. I'm drawing a blank, but you know, I would ask yourself, this is like, is your church having a mission trip, and you know, going to a foreign country is scary to you, or whatever the case might be, going, I don't know, maybe they're going, you know, we went on a mission trip to West Virginia, help build a church. And you might say to yourself, well, I don't have any building skills or whatever it is, but it could be something like that where, you know, God's calling you just to get uncomfortable and volunteer for something,
Right.
you know, and go somewhere that's out of your comfort zone, or do something you've never done before that's uncomfortable, to help spread the gospel. And maybe, like the water project, maybe God's calling you to donate to a missionary through your church. You know, I know our church supports missionaries, or maybe you can't go to that foreign country, but God says, I've given you an abundance here. Now get uncomfortable with it and support the missionary that is going, or whatever it is. So, and speaking of the water project, I don't remember the exact date, but I believe it's the first week of August, second week. I know it's coming up. And they're still raising money. So if you have not donated, really want to encourage you to go get uncomfortable and support Daniel and them going to, wasn't it Ecuador where they were going?
I don't remember. I have the shirt somewhere. Yeah. It's in the hamper. It needs washed. He sent me a T-shirt.
I'm pretty sure it's Ecuador where they were going to put in the water system so that people would have clean drinking water. So, yeah, but pray about it. Whatever it is, whether it's going on a mission trip, doing something in your town, through your church, at work, at your job. How can you get out of your comfort zone this week?
Absolutely. So before we end, I want to shoot something really encouraging to you and all the listeners out there. So this past week I was really busy, and I talked to my wife and made a split second decision. So I'm board of director of church camp that I grew up at.
Yep.
And this past week was senior high week. So senior high camp, right? And last year I didn't get a chance to go down. They had some stuff happen. I couldn't make it down. And I almost wasn't this week. And Thursday afternoon, I told my wife, I said, hey, I've got 2 calls for work that I can take in the truck, and then I can go down to camp. And so I went down, left at like 2:00, was on calls until 3:30. It took that long to get there. And I went down to senior high camp. Now this camp, it's a Christian camp. I grew up at it. It's just a rustic, sleeping in cabins, right? Nothing fancy about it. But anytime you're there, you sense the Spirit of God is there. It's a holy place, man. It's just a place where you just feel the presence of God. And so when I was growing up, a good solid week of camp, you had 25, 30 campers tops. I mean, 30 campers was a big week. I went down Thursday. There are 51 high schoolers down at that camp. 51. And the encouraging thing is I was there from 3:30 until almost midnight. I stayed for campfire. I never saw a cell phone.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, these kids were there to grow their faith and grow in relationship with one another. I mean, you saw a phone here or there, but there was none of this, all week. Or the whole time I was there. And I was talking to the other leaders there, and they said, yeah, it's been kind of wild. None of them were addicted to their phones. They all had Bibles, and they all were there and growing in the Lord. And so the encouragement is there's a generation, all you guys listening, I know most of you, aside from Andrew, I know you're listening, buddy. Most of you guys are older, like Tom and myself, and that there's a generation coming up that is hungry for the Word of God. Yes. There's a revival happening in young people, in your daughter's age and younger, right?
Yeah.
That mid-20s, down. And I just want to encourage you guys, it is up to us to help kindle that. It's up to us to help engage that and support that and lift that up.
Amen.
Man, it warmed my heart to be down there. Dude, to hear 52 campers, plus there's like 16 or 18 staff, like, counselors and stuff, singing worship songs around the campfire or singing worship, during worship time is just, I mean, you get goosebumps.
Yeah.
And so anywho,
and that's
I just want to shoot some encouragement.
I'm talking about, like, with all that you've had going on with the audit and everything the last few, it would have been very easy to drive home and relax with your family.
Right.
But to take and get uncomfortable and go down there, look at the reward you got.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was...
That's awesome.
I'm going to send you a video on Instagram when you get a chance. This is them doing worship at camp. And, dude, it'll just put hairs on your arms.
That's awesome.
But anyways, yeah, man, good stuff. It's nice having you back. And, looking forward to getting this week over with and take some time off, although it's going to be at VBS. And here's the thing. You guys might understand this. The only thing I hate worse than I don't like other people's kids. It's a weird thing. I love my kids. I'm good with my kids. I'm a big goofball. Dude, I can't stand other people's kids. I don't know what it is. And
Well-
so, but out of the abundance of my heart and what the Lord's doing, they need male crew leaders. And so I'm taking the week off and I'm going to be a male crew leader to some of these kids. And am I dreading it? Oh, I am. But yeah, so be praying.
Very cool. Well, I got some ribs on my smoker, so I'm gonna go pull them off and enjoy.
Yeah, I'm going to
some
get my
dinner.
private jet and come out and have some of them.
They're gonna fall off the
awesome.
bone.
Awesome. Well, until next week, I'm Will from Flatwood Acres.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.